What are we talking about today?
Oh, I think we got a whole bunch of fun stuff lined up.
Some automotive minutia.
Some pretty breaking news. No, it's never breaking news. So it should be pretty fun stuff. But thanks again, guys, for joining us on another Pointless Automotive podcast.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Frank, why don't you kick us off today? Because these are some of your brainchild. Fever dreams.
A little bit. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Woke up in a cold sweat in the middle of the night. Just, I have to put this down. And one of those is, there's kind of a lot. I don't say there's a lot of talk, but it certainly feels like, with the way the world of the automobile is going. I know we've said it plenty of times before about how fun it was in the mid '90s, early '90s when you had a countless, almost saturated market when it came to affordable, low horsepower, high fun cars.
Yes.
And certainly there's not nearly the kind of poo-poo platter smorgasbord that there used to be currently. And I think in a lot of ways, the way the market is trending with EVs and with, every sports car, every new car that comes out has got to have, umpteen 100 horsepower. That is kind of there really is kind of almost seeming like writing on the wall in a bad way for the demise of the low power sports car. What are your thoughts? Do you think we're about ready to enter a true dearth of, and maybe the beginning of the end of the kind of low power, low dollar fun car? You think it's going away? You think we're going to lose our Miatas? We're going to lose our BRZ, FRS, whatever you want to call it.
True.
All that. So you think we're at the end?
I don't think it's starting. I think it's been a trend for quite a while, honestly.
Sure.
And even a Miata now or a BRZ is not cheap.
No.
You can't just go grab
30
one.
grand.
Yeah, it's not a cheap car. I mean, the average price of vehicles right now being mid-40s for a new vehicle, right?
Sure.
So it's still on that scale. Yeah, it's noticeably cheaper, but not cheap.
Right.
And you know what I think it is? I think the death of simplistic cars is the blame.
Yeah.
Because what we're talking about is these fun, cheap cars were often simple.
Yeah,
absolutely. Can I ask you a question, Frank?
Please, fire away.
Can you buy a new car, 2022, with manual windows?
Ooh. We were talking, once upon a time, we were discussing the merits of the Mercury Mirage, or the Mitsubishi Mirage.
Right. Can you get a car with manual windows right now?
That might be it, if you can still buy that car. I think you can. I think there's a 22 Mirage. That might be it. Is the Versa Note still around? I don't even know. I haven't shopped in that market segment in so long.
Yeah.
I have to imagine maybe fleet use trucks and stuff like that.
Sure. I don't know.
I don't know, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, point taken.
Right.
Feature creep has really come for all of us in that regard. So you think that you're, I would say you're on the side of the fence of the answer is yes, we are not about to, we're very much in the realm of the death of the low power, high fun, sporting fun vehicle.
Oh, especially sporting fun. And I want to fire a shot, a big incendiary round right now.
Ooh, do it. Shots fired.
It's tech.
Could be.
Technology forces the prices up. You can't buy a base car. No one's going to want to buy a base car in 2022 that doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto.
Sure.
You're going to need those things, and those are pretty pricey items to add to a car that...
Touchscreen, everything.
Yeah. I mean, everything's like that. You want power, everything. It's... Back in the day, you used to be able to get a manual transmission in anything.
Sure.
Right? Any car, the base comes with a manual by default, right? Now, you pay a premium because that GT3 comes with a manual, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you have to pay to get less.
A premium, to cut some weight out of the car.
Under your $160,000
Exactly. So
car with weight list and huge ADM on top.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're talking about cheap, fun. What do I think of? I think of low entry price, low to get into, a manual transmission. Maybe it has a radio, maybe 2 speakers. I don't care.
Yeah, I think it's funny. a lot of the stuff we're talking about is like the current market, right?
Right.
And so kind of trying to project, let's say, a decade forward, okay? Do you think, it sounds like you're on the side of the coin of that probably it's going to be even worse from that standpoint, right? Like you're going to see fewer low power, let's just say low power sports cars.
Right.
I'm going to take a different approach here a little bit. I think there's a chance that the market can shift in that direction. Now it's going to be a little bit different. I think there's two ways that this could happen. I think in 10 years maybe there will be more low powered sports cars, and I think it's going to manifest itself either as people are going to be, because currently if you want to go buy like any sports car right now, is it's going to be automatic for the most part. It's going to be extremely powerful, with the exception of Miata, the Subiota twins.
I mean, that's over
GTI.
That's 100.
That's kind of it.
That's 184 horsepower and over 200 horsepower, respectively.
Yeah.
That's not. Back in the day, we were excited for 110, 120.
Yeah, but let's say that's like the low. That's low power for today.
For today, yeah, agreed.
In 10 years from now, what I can see is two things happening. Either battery tech on EVs is going to get better, because currently the market is trending towards EVs, which I think conventional wisdom would say that just means everything is going to get heavier and more bloated, because currently EVs are generally relatively heavy and bloated.
That's fair. That's a fair.
You've got heavy batteries. You've got all that stuff, and that's part of the reason why you've got these, like, your base entry level Tesla or whatever is faster than most gasoline cars, because the power is cheap. Like, once you take the weight penalty, like, the power part is cheap.
We're skipping over cheap for cost though, because those
electrics
are still currently quite pricey.
But I'm thinking 10 years out, we might be able to see the revolution. We might soon see lightweight EV sports cars, because I think battery tech will improve. I think range anxiety will lessen as infrastructure grows.
Which is
so if we're 10 years, it is. But if we manage to have 10 years worth of growth and project out that we actually build a reasonably decent infrastructure here in North America, let alone rest of world stuff, when it comes to like Europe and stuff. Europe is a little bit ahead of us, I think, in a lot of the nations, in like Norway and Sweden and stuff like that. But if we have true growth of infrastructure, we don't have to and the battery tech grows, we might have, you might cut the battery weight associated with EVs by 70% maybe, right?
Potentially, sure.
Because if you're only worried about, if you've got a small battery that can charge in 10 minutes, and you only have to have maybe 200 miles of range, and the batteries are smaller.
And now you have accessibility to charging,
You have accessibility to charging, so you don't have to worry about having, I need to have 500 miles of range. You can buy with 200 miles of range and have a tiny battery that charges like that. What's to say you can't have a sub 3,000 pound EV Miata with instant torque response? With, you might lose your manual transmission, but that would be problematic for old timers like us. But if you're 10 now, right? And say you're 20, or let's say you're getting your driver's license today, right? You're 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
When you're 26, 27 and you're looking to buy a new car, current 16, 17-year-olds are hung up on manual transmission. Not most of them, because there's a dearth of those in the market. And so I think in the future it's not going to be as big of a deal to not have it.
I don't know about that, but think of it, man. We're products of the early 80s.
Right. Where manual was king.
But we do love classic rock, even though we weren't technically alive.
This is true.
I think the manual is classic. Yes, of course. I think the manual is the classic rock for these kids that are growing up now. Like, there's plenty of teenagers and they want, like,
I don't know, man. You see how popular Little Uzi Vert is? Like, not all these kids are listening to classic rock.
There's some good kids out there.
There are. No, it will
in
be
the sense they still want their analog experience, right? Which is gone. And you did mention simple, We talked about simple cars.
Yes.
And going electric is not simple because how are you gonna?
I think for the kids, I think it will.
What are they gonna put different capacitors in their car to?
You don't have to worry about smog. You have a battery. You've got a controller. You've got a motor.
You have longevity. Right. There's not going to be cheap.
The maintenance is going to be significantly easier because you're cutting down on rotating parts and things like that.
We go out, when we were kids, we bought cars that were 10 to 20 years old.
Absolutely.
Right? How many 10 to 20-year-old electric cars are kicking around?
Well, we're in a weird spot right now.
I know, but I don't foresee the battery life. So you're talking like smaller?
Well, there's two ways that can go.
Right.
If current EVs are treated like iPhones and they just get hucked into the garbage every 8 to 10 years, which is the overarching, the free hand of the market, capitalist gods would want that to happen. Because that you built in obsolescence in your cars and you can recycle. You just chuck them in the garbage and you got to buy a new one in 10 years.
Well, that's the money in tech, is right. You want to always sell the latest and greatest.
I hope that doesn't happen. I would really like it for when, let's say 10 years from now, you have your 2021 Tesla Plaid, right?
Yeah.
And instead of you just huck that thing into the garbage, they make it so you can go, okay, 10 years have gone farther in battery tech. Instead of you chuck the whole car in the garbage, the rest of the car's in decent shape. Maybe because the battery is now kaput.
Yeah.
Maybe
definitely kaput.
you just replace it with the modern battery tech. It's plug and play, and now you just gain way farther range, or you've made the battery half the size but still have the same performance, and you make it like you don't have it be an iPhone where my battery's gone and I have to throw the whole thing into the garbage can because I can't swap out the battery. The OEM won't support it.
I don't know, man. It's an image thing. You want to be driving a 10-year-old looking car?
People are doing it all the time.
I know.
We love our 10-year-old cars.
I love our 30-year-old cars.
Yeah. So
and look, I don't want to dredge this through like the whole validity of electric cars.
Sure.
Like there's a lot in there, and we don't have the time nor the know-how to unpack it all necessarily. Right. But I'm saying, just in the sense of a simple car, a simple design. I just don't think we ever get back there. I think, sure, electric, it will become standardized, it will become simplified.
Right.
But we're not going to get there, man. We're not going to get to where you can go buy like a $500 electric car and expect to have fun with it.
It's tough. We might not. We very well might not. I can see that.
Fun can shift, right? Like the what we witness is fun. Like for us, it's a lighter weight piece of crap with a good gearbox and decent handling. And maybe some personality.
But that's the other thing, because remember I said there's two ways I can see this happening. That was the one way, was the battery tech, infrastructure, EV, lightweight, sports car may become king, right?
What's option B?
Option B is if things do or don't trend that way, but we end up in a world of EV and hybrid vehicles roaming the earth, and the dying dinosaur is the dinosaur-fueled gasoline car.
Sure.
And so you have all these major manufacturers trending away from that and really not doing a whole lot of, maybe like trucks and stuff with fleet applications and stuff like that, but mostly getting away from mainstream OEMs no longer making vehicles or performance gas vehicles. I can see because there's still going to be a hunger for that from the likes of you and me.
Yes, of course.
So what I can see is the growth of the boutique builder.
Okay.
For now, you might lose cheap.
Yeah.
But you will. I think there will still be a hunger for the lighter weight sports car. So imagine Mazda says, "Hey, we can no longer make the Miata. It doesn't make fiscal sense for us."
It's very topical.
You can see, do you think Morgan is still going to be around? I think Morgan's going to be around. They're still going to be making cars made out of balsa wood and whatever they're doing.
Right.
You're going to have boutique builders making, and I think you'll end up with more boutique builders coming out of the woodwork. People maybe reviving dead brands, maybe doing things where, okay, you can still get your low power gas car, your 150 or 200 horsepower, but it's going to be from a boutique builder. Maybe it will be slightly bespoke, like you contact them and they build it for you, which is not cheap. but I think there could be a cottage industry of these bespoke builders.
Yeah,
maybe even something like the Singer does with the 964 Porsches, where they make you a bespoke, very expensive. That's not what I don't think that's the future, but I can see somebody going, hey, we'll do that with your NA Miatas. We'll do that with your E30 BMWs. And so and boutique builders either refurbishing and renewing older classic cars, or just making stuff from scratch on a boutique basis, and you're going to have a wider selection of simple low power sports cars from boutique builders when the OEMs move on from the gasoline vehicle.
I could see him filling that vacuum, but that's still the death of small, fun, cheap, simple cars. Because these boutique shops,
that'll just move to the used.
They're not going to build my Tracer LTS. They're going to be like, what is that? No, it's not worth whatever. You're going to pay out the butt for this retro mod vehicle. So I don't see us, unfortunately, a little darker side. I just don't see us going back to that time. And like I said, because tech, you gotta have tech. Like the safety tech in vehicles now, standard safety tech.
Sure.
You got backup. I'm just speaking purely topical today. Yeah. So you got like airbags. You've got all the passenger straight stuff. You've got backup cameras. You've got audio, navigation. Everything's built in, right? I don't even think you can get a car without some form of Apple CarPlay anymore. It's getting rarer and rarer.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah.
And a backup cameras are standard.
The days of just the AM/FM stereo.
Exactly. So I don't think we ever do get back there, unfortunately. I think some semblance of it, like you're talking about, but I don't see like people being able to go buy these shit boxes, for lack of a better term.
Right.
There's going to be no more turd boxes.
But I generally agree, but I do still think maybe it's just me trying to like grasp at the hull of a sinking ship. Just to like, please have a couple of these cheap cars. But I do feel like there will be potentially a position in the market eventually where that still has to exist. Like you still have to have the
affordable transportation.
1999, maybe adjust for, in other words, 7-8% inflation. Maybe that's maybe that's going to be $25,000 car. But the $25,000 car, which is you're going to have no frills. Maybe you won't have AM/FM stereo. You'll only have it just Bluetooth to your phone, and that's it. And that's all you get.
Yep.
And maybe you won't, maybe you'll get, recycled material seats or whatever that's going to look like. I think there's going to be some of that. Is it going to be lightweight and fun? Maybe not.
No.
And that's why I think
the big thing you wanted to talk about is the fun, cheap and simple cars, right?
Yeah. Fun and low power.
Right.
Because right now it's everything like, we're going to make the new XYZ, it's going to go 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds. Because every EV now has to do sub 3 second, sub 4 second, sub 5 second, 0 to 60 times. And it's seemingly, that's the road we're headed down. Which is okay, but it's not where I want to operate. I would rather have the low power fun in a twisty toss.
Yeah, it's just the horsepower creep. You wanted to buy like a Mustang GT back in the day. 200 horsepower got you a pretty cool performance car, and now a Mustang GT comes with like 420 plus, depending on what year.
Right.
So it's more than doubled, which is insane.
E36 M3.
Oh yeah.
40 horsepower. So yeah, I don't know. You might be right. It might be the end. That ship might have sailed already. But I'm holding out hope. I think there's a world where either boutique gas builders are a thing, and they kind of resurrect it, or maybe I don't know. I think there's an EV world where that can still exist. I'm holding out hope.
I love your positive outlook, but I feel like these cheap manual transmission, low tech feature cars are just not coming back.
You know what we should do? Should we ask the 8-ball?
Oh my God, let's do it! It's pretty positive.
I'm pretty sure it just appeared on the table. It wasn't here a moment ago, but it's here now.
It chose to be here.
Same with my shirt.
So are small, cheap cars going to make a comeback? Is that the thing?
Or is that era? Yeah. Will the era live on? Will we see a renewed renaissance of the low power, low dollar?
We'll see what kind of mood overall positive 8-balls into it.
Come on, 8-ball.
Very doubtful, my friend.
Oh boy, I think that's the first negative response to 8-ball has given us.
He's not negative or positive. He's just accurate.
Exactly. Or she, who knows? Excellent. Well, speaking of which. when it comes to cheap low dollar cars, I wanted to play the what models long dead, or not long dead, but no longer in production. What make models should come back?
Boy,
should be resurrected from beyond the grave. And I have a couple of these low horsepower cars on my list.
Okay.
How about I kick it to you? What do you think as far as if you were to be your overlord for a day, and you had complete control, and you were able to Thanos snap things into existence and have it be some sort of a model? What are you thinking? Do you have any things on your hit list of what should and how? Like how would it come back?
The old opposite Thanos play. Okay.
Exactly, the anti-Thanos.
So I kind of went in not as much, I didn't go specific models in this case, even though I will argue a few specific ones. Overall brand that I know we both hold dear to our hearts, Saab.
Ah, yes.
And I want real Saab back. I want hatchbacks that are quirky.
Engine backwards.
Engine backwards, manuals mostly, turbos, please. Safety being big still, I kind of like that angle. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And the front wheel drive is fun. I mean, they did that to overcome like bad traction, like in snowy areas.
Yep.
And like growing up in New England, like you didn't have a BMW, you had a Saab if you were on top of your game.
You were an architect.
Yeah.
In the greater New England area.
A brilliant engineer or college professor. You had a Saab. So the reason I want it back is because there's nothing like that anymore. It's like it's kind of like pseudo luxury. I think you call it near luxury is the popular term.
Yeah.
I just want that to come back. I like how quirky they were. I love how they were all hatchbacks and just the design was out of this world.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what like the current equivalent would be like. So I mean, there kind of isn't one. I mean,
well,
maybe if Lucid costs like 1/8 their current cost. Not that a Saab was an inexpensive car, but.
They were like middle pack back then. They were definitely like that near luxury, but also they're stable. Well, they're country made. Volvo kind of hung around, obviously, and reinvented themselves as even more luxury. Like modern Volvos are very nice. Very pricey.
They are, but they're kind of one of the few brands that are left that are like, hey, we're going to lean into the safety and softness, like true. Like soft, squishy luxury, like
really nice interior
good build quality.
Yeah,
unlike everything from Germany is like we're a sports car, but we're also a grand touring car, but we're also a luxury car. But have you seen how tech heavy we are? But we're also incredibly sporting in ring times, but we're luxurious.
But function over form, right?
Exactly,
like
the best or nothing.
Yeah,
it's like try to be everything versus Volvo was they hung onto the thing. But.
So maybe Saab kind of would follow suit in that sense. Like maybe they come back a little more quality, nicer interiors. Saab interiors were always kind of.
I feel like they'd have to be tech focused, right? Because they kind of were. I mean, back in the day when you had like turbos.
You want Born from Jets? I'd love to see that come back.
Was that GM era? I think it
no,
was.
they did it before that.
Jets.
They did that before, yeah.
With what was the name of their jet? I can't think of it.
The Viggen was
the Viggen. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of like Delta Wing.
Too much into Saabs, but I think there is a space for that. I think there's they come in below Volvo maybe for price point nowadays, and they focus on like those more quirky hatchback like enthusiast models, like manuals, turbos, the fun stuff we love, and they keep safety up there. I think that's cool. I think I would love to see that come back from the dead.
How about that would be a boutique?
I think that's gas company. I think there is some Saab shops still in existence because of that. They're usually like a Swedish shop, and they do Volvo too. But
but I mean, like if you like
retro modding old stuff.
If some billionaire with oil money or something decided they were going to resurrect Saab and buy it from whoever, the ghost of Spiker, whoever bought the IP for Saab. And
I think 5 people have since they went under, right? Like
it's changed hands. It's probably owned by like Tata or something.
Dude, I love how you said oil money because that was period correct for Saab. Like someone with oil money comes in with a cowboy hat.
Well, I'm thinking of like Rivian. It's like also oil money.
True.
Similar, but just like bought the IP and just like, hey, we're gonna crank out 5,000 cars a year.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be like something Morgan, but of a Swedish moniker and turbos and weirdness. But
Born from Jets. That's mine.
I'm gonna go. So I've got a couple of things here. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's a 100% 100% that the Porsche 944 should exist in today's world. It would be, I gotta say this tongue in cheek, it would be as simple as, because let's face it, like just like bringing a car to market is unrealistically complex. It's not gonna just like snap your Thanos snap and make it show up. Like even if you have, even like in my mind, I'm like, okay, like you have the drivetrain already. You take the base, you take the drivetrain of the base Macan, 2-liter turbo, either PDK or a 6-speed. You take that, you take that drivetrain, that transmission, you put it into, you basically
new chassis.
Exactly. You take it, you put it in a new chassis. You basically make what everyone wants, which is if the BRZ and GT86 had 280 horsepower and had chassis designed by Porsche.
Yeah,
that's what. And you have half the stuff sitting on a shelf. Yes, I understand it's incredibly expensive to ground up design a chassis. So maybe then you have to share it with other players in the Volkswagen Audi group, right? I don't know. Maybe you bring back the Audi GT from the 80s and something. Make it a rear driver or all-wheel drive if you want to put that in the Audi version. But I think just a rear drive.
How about the S3 chassis, something like that?
Maybe. Well, that platform is freaking everything.
That's what I'm saying.
The Golf up to the Atlas.
I'm just looking at platform. But here's the thing.
It's got to be rear drive.
True.
Rear drive.
Where do you put this in the market? You price it below a Cayman, right? This is
this would be the new true entry level.
Okay.
Entry level Porsche under the Cayman. Maybe a $20,000 premium over a. Because what's a base Cayman nowadays?
Oh boy,
high 60s.
Gotta be
maybe 70s.
Maybe Google that.
Let's Google.
I kind of feel
I will Google.
Yeah. I kind of feel like it's up there. And you know how Porsche option this go.
60.
Yeah.
For a base 718 Cayman, which was going to be a 4-cylinder.
Definitely going to
300 horsepower 4-cylinder, 60,500. And let's face it, 0 of those are ordered at that base price.
No one, yeah.
So let's say you have your new base price of being $49,995 or $50,000, right? That's you put that in the marketplace and you can option it to the moon.
Maybe start mid-40s.
If you could, if you can get away with it, because the BRZ is basically, there's no options on those cars, but it's 30.
Yeah.
30, 31. So if you're 45, mid to high 40s, that would, I think that would just, it would kick ass. I think how many people would buy that in this market right now where like a RAV4 hybrid is mid 40s, like not that this is a RAV4 hybrid and it speaks to a different market, but there's money out there. Yeah. If you're telling me you can spend an extra 15 to 20 grand over a BRZ.
What do you put for a power plant? You putting a flat 6 in there finally, or are you going to keep with a 4-cylinder theme?
No, I take the 4-cylinder out of the base Cayman. Or no, sorry, not Cayman. I'm sorry. I was saying Cayman the whole time. I meant Macan.
Yeah.
I take the 2-liter turbo out of the Macan and that motor and that transmission. It's just decent. It's just the Audi was it EA888 I think is that motor.
Tons of applications, yeah.
Lots of applications. You've got them in spades. Like if you're looking to like make this a cost-effective build, you spend all the money on the chassis and the suspension. You've got warehouses of this engine. Yeah, you got to remap stuff. You got to relearn stuff. It's not as simple as just tossing the transmission in there. Especially you got to modify it for a rear application.
Keeps parts costs down for like the enthusiast, which is a huge plus.
Yeah, and people, it'll be the German equivalent of the BRZ because people will buy that and immediately start modding that car.
Dude, I like that a lot.
Why that doesn't, there's several reasons why it doesn't exist, but why it doesn't exist, I don't know.
Porsche's got a very concise lineup, right? I think that's part of it. They're not, back in the day, they have, like you said, there's no front engine applications anymore except for Cayennes and Macans. Back in the day, they had 928s, 944s. They were entertaining that kind of stuff, right? So mid-engine, front engine, and rear engine.
Yes.
This is cool.
I want my cake and I want to eat it too.
Talk about a lot of different assembly lines, right?
Sure. But yes, that's if I was to play God, I would bring back the Porsche 944. And you can just call it the 944 turbo. Well, that's the thing. Porsche doesn't stick to using turbo on anything. You've got a Taycan turbo.
Oh yeah, doesn't even need a turbo. Right?
Yeah, you've got the base 911, the Carrera is a turbo, but they don't call it a turbo. The turbos still have turbo. I guess you just call it whatever you want at this point, which is fine.
Yeah, it's
I'm not hung up on it. But what else you got? What else you bring to the market?
So our other moniker, our other brand, our other banner, we love to fly the flag in here.
Pontiac. Ooh.
So
they build driving excitement.
But now there's no excitement. GM needs to bring it back. I want a Firebird.
You're bringing the whole moniker back. You're bringing the whole what's your?
You can't bring one. They can't just launch. I don't think they carry enough weight to launch. Like maybe a Firebird would be kind of cool to see.
Yeah,
like a
they're doing that with Hummer, although technically it's a GMC.
Correct. Yeah, and the Firebird's always a Camaro, so
right.
Trans Am. So I'd love to see a modern Firebird with the Camaro power plant. I think that would be pretty awesome. I think they get away from, and even if, the big thing back in the day is the Pontiacs had GM base cars with cool body add-ons and usually a better, spicier power plant. So
till the end of the run, in which it was just like, oh, it's a G5.
I know no one builds cars anymore, but maybe they come out with an Aztec that's like really weird.
Dude, how well would a modern Aztec, like in this
with adventure,
overlanding, adventure
lifestyle? Yes.
Like talk about being ahead of their time. As much as a travesty as that car is, a lot of ways it was way ahead of its time with the way it was set up, the tent that pops out.
Imagine that coming back in a retro designed one. You get the Pontiac body cladding is going to come back.
Yes.
Wavy sheets of plastic affixed to each side of the car. Sure. But I think there is. I mean, I don't know. It's probably the hardest business case to argue for. GM needing a spicy branch, but I think that'd be cool. I think to see Pontiac come back, I think I'd like to see a new Aztec reimagined with retro styling, and it's not even super retro, we're talking early 2000s, but just kind of bringing that quirkiness back, the adventure lifestyle like we just talked about.
Yeah.
Super big. Hell yeah, have the tent back.
You gotta bring the J2000 back, and the Sunbird, and absolute, they made some absolute dog piles.
They did.
What was the Parisian? You bring back the Pontiac Parisian.
Well, there was the Rebadge, the Tempest, remember all that, and the Longs.
Yeah, but no, there's some gems in there. I mean, I think a modern Fiero could be fun.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Modern Fiero, you just use the C8 as your base.
Ooh. Boy, if you could truncate a C8 and put a Turbo 4 in it instead. And
smaller wheelbase. Hell, throw a manual in there.
Oh yeah, they could be
T-tops. Can we not build T-tops anymore?
I don't know.
Because
there might be some rollover thing.
Well, no, because T-tops were the compromise against having a convertible. Remember? So I can't see how they could maybe just cost. I think a T-top's very expensive to manufacture.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think so because the glass and it has to be a certain rating. I'm sure modern T-top glass has to be some ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it's just a styling thing. Back when cars were more on the boxy upright side, it's easier to design that in versus if you've got something more curvy.
Maybe.
I don't know.
My NX 2000 is curvy as hell. There isn't a straight line on that car.
Mark IV Supra, those had the target tops. You had the T-tops on the 300ZX.
Right.
Yeah. We're back to T-top talk.
We're back.
Come full circle.
Full circle. We can't get away from the addiction.
Okay, so Pontiac
and Saab would be coming back.
Pontiac and Saab. Hi.
Neon?
The Dodge Neon, boy. Why the Dodge Neon isn't back already? I get okay, they screwed up and they decided to kill it off and have only the Caliber, which was an absolute garbage pile of a car. SRT4 aside. And then they said, okay, I know, we'll come back, we'll correct it, we'll wrong our rights, and we'll shorten up.
Don't say the D word.
We'll bring the Dart.
No.
The Dart came back.
What an panned completely car, and it was just horrible.
It was.
It had
I thought a couple more
it was
the interiors were actually okay, a fit finish, which could not be said for the Caliber.
It was a Fiat, right?
Yeah, the Fiat, and it was the shortened. It was the Chrysler 200, but a shortened wheelbase version of that.
It did have a Tiger Shark engine. That's pretty cool sounding.
Yeah, you had the Tiger Shark and the multi-air.
The 1.4.
Yeah. They actually sounded okay. I feel 50% of them had this super burbly, under dampened exhaust.
Like the
but not a great car. And so in the dust, now that the dust has settled on both of those, the Neon has to come back. Dodge doesn't have a true economy competitor in any capacity. And they can bring the Neon back. I think if you're gonna do it now, we are at the absolute peak of 90s revival as far as people wanting that. And so if you brought back, maybe not new Beetle levels of nostalgia, but you bring it back, you have some throwbacks in it, maybe have you can get optional splash graphics on the side or
Oh,
something
heck
like
yeah.
that. You bring back the old high marketing.
Yeah, you keep the cute front end with the round headlights.
Yeah, you just, you make it back with that. You go back to why that car was successful.
Okay.
And you just have, your $22,000 commuter car, your $19,000 commuter car.
What are they selling in that segment now? Is it like stripped out
Chargers?
Chargers?
Yeah, that's all it is you get a stripped out Charger, you get a,
I guess the argument
Caravan, and that's it. But I mean, they've kind of taken the mantle of like, hey, we're just gonna stuff a big motor and everything, and tear up the road, and do all that. So, but then I think there's a place for the Neon because they don't really have. I mean, FCA doesn't have anything in North America really that fit that, right? Chrysler doesn't.
Boy, because they pulled like the Sebring, they pulled they call it the 200.
All they make is a 300. That's the only Chrysler, and a Pacifica, I suppose.
Yeah,
you can buy a minivan, or you can buy what's left of the W110 chassis based, Chrysler body line that's been around forever.
No one wants cars anymore, man.
Apparently not, but I think they would like a Neon. I think if you do a Neon, you make it as like you flat out just like undercut the Civic and the Corolla, and which is and make it cutesy, and that's what it was before, and you do just that. Yeah.
I think we laughed at Neons when they first came out, and then it ended up being like an amazing product. Like,
the car, like the interior were made out of Legos, but that aside, they actually ran pretty well.
Domestic.
Some early ones had head gasket issues, and automatic transmissions were glass.
But RTs and ACRs were like tearing up race leagues and
no people had those cars, and they were good. They were all for what they were pretty darn good cars.
Dual overhead cam manual, 150 horsepower out of a 2-liter. That's pretty sweet.
I mean, light years ahead of like a base Accord or base Escorts at the time, light years ahead of anything Cavalier or Sunfire.
Corsica, RIP.
Yeah, exactly. Rest in peace. But yeah, I'm bringing the Neon back. The Dodge Neon. Hi.
I love that. I'd get behind that. I'm gonna do a little twist on this, man.
Ooh, twisted.
Some things that should stay dead. That keep trying to come back.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I am.
It's a broad stroke, pun intended. Retro styling. And
what's a good car that's on the market that has true retro style?
Here are some retro styling wins. Great segue, my friend.
Okay.
You ready for this? And I don't know if you're going to agree with me. Let's see. Wins. The Ford Mustang, the mid-2000s retro. I thought that was a good look.
You know what? I thought when it first came out, I thought it was a really good look. And in my mind, it aged very poorly. But today, now I think I'm kind of taking another look at it. Like, especially compared to like a New Edge.
Yes.
I'll look at it and be a little bit more fondly.
Yeah.
And so I think spec, right? I mean, your base model, lime green with no options and a little knockoff center caps, I don't think have aged that well. But like a well-optioned GT
in that
green with the stripe package, with like the the big fog lights and the 5-spoke wheels. Yep. I think those have held up actually well. So yeah, I'm on board. What else?
The other one, Dodge Challenger. When the Dodge Challenger SRT8 came out in that Hemi orange, I thought that was stunning.
And I wasn't a Mopar guy, so for me, I was that was the one where like when these cars are like 10 years old, I'm gonna buy a used SRT8 with a manual.
They're so expensive now.
They are, and that car is still in production, which is bonkers.
Yeah.
Largely unchanged.
But great styling, that's a win.
Yeah.
But the loss column is a lot more robust.
Sure.
Here are some of my take. Some of these might be a little confrontational.
Oh boy.
PT Cruiser.
Yeah, well.
Ford Thunderbird.
That's not controversial, my friend.
Chevy HHR.
Sure. Yep.
And then the Prowler. There's the confrontational one.
But here's the thing.
The execution of the Prowler.
Yes, because I think the Prowler's kind of made a renaissance, right? Like I feel like people are kind of
just because it's
not really renaissance, but like I think people kind of appreciate it more for the miles per mile thing. But I don't think the reason that car is a quote loser is because of the styling.
No, but it's a retro styling execution fail. Like
the
power plant,
wrong power plant,
wrong gearbox.
Wrong transmission.
Yep.
Yeah. But
you put a Hemi in that thing with a manual.
Yeah, if you did a modern retake on it, if you went like.
Not even the 6.1 that was in that Challenger would be a fantastic application in that route.
Yeah, I mean when that car launched though, that I get why they didn't put because the only other motor we would have been the 5.9 out of the Dakota.
What year did the Prowler come out again? Early 2000s?
98, I think.
Was it that early?
97, 98?
Yeah, well, the 5.7 Hemi wasn't around then.
No, not yet. They only had the wedge mode. You didn't get the Hemi till 03, I think.
Okay. So it might have been just timing. But
it had to have been no later than 98, because 98 was last year for Plymouth, because it was originally a Plymouth Prowler,
That's
and then
right.
they moved it over to the Chrysler line when they.
Could you imagine a 6.1
Plymouth died in
Hemi
98.
shoehorned into that thing with a manual, 6-speed manual?
Oh yeah,
that'd be
if you do it now, 97. So
okay,
97.
That's fair.
And then they killed it in 02. So and then the next year the Hemi came out.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, so okay, Prowler. How about did you ever catch the remake of the Countach?
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, like I don't know, it was what 4 months ago, 5 months
ago. That's a little more modern. I don't know.
To me, it just looks like almost like we'll take our current car and just like body kitify it. Like it doesn't.
It's kind of like the Land Cruiser Heritage Edition, right? It's like a
yeah.
It's kind of like
it's a little bit more than that, but it's I don't know, to cash in on the modeling of that car. Right. And then to be like, we're going to put a body kit on an Aventador. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I get it. But yeah, like that's another, I would put that on the fail list of brought back retro styling stuff.
So, I mean, that's why I kind of elected it. I think modern retro styling, I think it's, as you can see, the win column compared to the lose column in this situation.
Yeah.
I think that's something that needs to stay dead. Like, it just not, like, it's hard. It's really hard, right? Because there's retro executed well, and then there's more times than not, it's not executed well. I think on paper it looks fantastic. I think on the prototypes it looks fantastic, and then the execution phase is so like lukewarm that no one cares.
Yeah. Can I come at you with 2 more quick models to return?
I'll allow it.
Okay. These are going to be almost also range or honorable mentions.
Okay.
One is when we mentioned it briefly a second ago was Honda Element. The fact that there's not a second-gen Honda Element on today's market right now,
it's a shame.
Yeah, like they're leaving money on the table. They did a second gen of the Ridge line, which has been, I don't want to call it wildly successful, but
well received.
Well received, yeah. And I think if they had a new, and maybe there's one in the works, and I just don't know, but I think the fact that there's not a second gen Element in this current market right now, where like overlanding, van life, adventure mobiles are like all of the rage.
Yeah.
To have one that's compact, gets good gas mileage, and checks all those boxes.
Quality
of product.
Yeah, those quality of life features like convenient stuff. That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yep. And then one other Honda product I would like to bring back real quick. I don't think anyone's going to be thinking about it, but I think it would be really cool. This was one I think that almost meets what you were just talking about, where like retro but failed execution. I think it needs to be re-executed. The CRZ.
Yep, I knew you were going to say
the
it.
Honda CRZ was one of those ones where you're like, oh, it looks good. It's a throwback to the CRX. It's a 2-seater, but they're gonna make this thing be sporty and like a really fun little economy car, which is kind of ultimately what the original CRX was.
Yep.
Except it failed miserably because it didn't get nearly the fuel economy that it should have, and it wasn't nearly fun and tossable and sporty enough.
Right.
They said like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. I think that car looks great. I think the concept is sound, but it got like 35 miles a gallon, which was less than the Civic at the time.
Right.
And it was less practical, and it was smaller, and it was about as sporty as maybe a little bit because it was like the wheelbase was shorter, and you can get with a manual, but like compared to just a Civic hybrid.
Exactly.
And so the execution was not there. So I think if they can bring that back, you have like call it a 50 mile per gallon, slightly sporty. I don't know if you can give it, a full-size Camry hybrid right now gets 51 miles a gallon highway.
Is that right?
Yeah. Or I guess it's combined even.
Yeah.
So there's ways you can do it. I mean, you've got a full-size crossover, the Venza, which is a hybrid, and that's getting 41. So I think you can get probably 50 miles a gallon in a smaller, compact. You style it, largely similarly, but just more modern.
Yeah.
Maybe add a rear light bar for that 90s, 80s throwback, because that's what you had on the original CRX.
Keep a manual option.
Yeah, you can. I don't know how that works with emissions and stuff on hybrids. I know they stopped doing manuals on hybrids. for various reasons.
Well, the original Insight had a manual.
The original
knocked it out
Insight,
the
the
park.
original Honda Civic Hybrid did, as did the CRZ.
You know what?
CRZ was manual.
One of the biggest things, the CRZ, so the CRX was always a handler. Even
Yes.
the SI wasn't a powerhouse. The CRZ did not deliver in the handling department.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It did deliver in the
it was
handling
all-
department.
it was all
didn't have enough-
concessions.
Yeah, it didn't have enough, go juice. It didn't have
Fuel
It didn't
economy.
get the fuel. It got 35 miles a gallon. You're like, well, I'll just buy anything else and get 32, and I'm right there.
Right.
So yeah, it was a failed execution.
Looks
But I think,
great though.
I think you do that now in this
Looks
market. I think that could be a winner. I think they
I'll put
did
you
miss
on
the
that one.
execution, and I think the technology's only gotten better to really make it, young and hip and good.
Ran out of alphabet though, so naming convention might be a little challenging.
That's true. Yeah, CRZ.
CR1, go to numbers.
Oh, good. Yeah, just go like
Sounds like a motorcycle.
just wingding characters.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Is that a spade? Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah,
That's anything else you want to throw into this party?
that's it with that. I like that a lot. I like
Okay.
that.
Maybe one day we'll see. Maybe some of these will come back.
Never know.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
So, what do we want to do? Do we want to do some quizzing?
I think you have to quiz all
I
over.
gotta, yeah, I do. I got to run away. I've got to get away. I've got to. No, that's the wrong song.
Boom, boom.
So I have an ad for you, my friend. And in case you are playing along at home, as you should be,
Yes.
this game entails one of us, in this case me, reading a piece of advertising print copy from the 80s, 90s to early 2000s. And the other one of us, in this case Chadwick, will have to try and sort out and surmise and guess what vehicle that we are talking about. I will read the print copy. I will excise out the name and any other identifying features, overly identifying features.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get 3 guesses, and we're gonna get some hints in between these guesses. Are you ready?
I am sure I'm going to incur the full wrath of Frank on this one since I was able to stump him with some Chrysler products the other day.
It was. That was gettable, and I did not get it. And I think this one is also gettable.
It's coming. I can sense it.
Okay, here we go.
Are you ready? As ready as I'll ever be.
Of course, for insurance purposes, it's a 5-passenger, 4-door, mid-size luxury sedan. In accordance with conservative and time-honored ways of the auto insurance industry, blank proudly presents the blank. A safe, sensible car. Equally impressive is the 4-wheel independent front multi-link suspension that passengers sitting in that space get to ride on. Oh, and we almost forgot. This 4-cylinder, 140 horsepower, 16-valve, double overhead cam powered vehicle has been called one of the best handling front drive automobiles in the world. To find out more, or to guest drive a blank, call, if you get it off this phone number, then you just win it forever. 1-800-826-6500. And then it has the name of the vehicle, and it has a price.
Oh.
And it's not the highest quality here, so I can't tell if this is like base MSRP or as equipped. $20,600 and looks like $15.
I would argue that $15 at the dealership.
Yeah. Where do you think you were at, my friend?
Wow, man. Interesting stuff. Cab forward, tossed around in the late 80s, early 90s.
A little bit of a buzzword, though, I think.
It was, and it was usually front-wheel drive because with that application you were allowed to move the front forward, and you opened up a lot of passenger space because you didn't have a drive shaft tunnel.
And they did confirm that. They said it's one of the best handling front-wheel drive automobiles in the world.
The comparisons, though. 190E, 325i, so we're looking at anywhere from mid-80s to early 90s.
Perhaps.
Since those are when they were available. It's weird what they compare to a historical car or a future car.
Exactly.
So power steering, 4 doors.
4 doors.
ABS, 4-wheel independent suspension.
Yep.
Accolades for being best handling. I think I read in there that
has been called one of the best handling front-wheel drive automobiles in the world.
4-cylinder,
Yes.
140 horsepower dual overhead cam.
Yes, 16 valve.
16 valve.
16 valve double overhead cam.
think I got it.
Ooh. Oh boy. You gonna shoot your shot, big guy?
Yeah, let's shoot a shot.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Go for it.
SR20 power car here.
Perhaps.
This is an Infiniti G20.
Infiniti proudly presents the 1991 G20. Yeah, buddy.
Awesome. And if it was a G20T, it would have a limited slip diff.
It would, and a little spoiler.
Yes.
And did you get different wheels? I know in the second gen ones you got like 16s instead of 15s.
So I'm kind of a nerd with SR20 cars, so that was the
Okay.
P10. I don't know. I think they had a couple optional wheels, but I know that's as soon as you said 140 dual overhead cam front wheel drive, and they won a lot of awards.
Yeah. Well, when they're comparing it to a Mercedes and BMW, when you're in this era, you're almost always like, okay, this is a Japanese brand.
Right, a luxury version
Straight
of
up.
a Japanese brand.
Correct.
Right, because the Nissan Sentra SCR hit all these same buttons except for 4-door.
4 doors, and they would not be comparing that to a 190E
Nope.
or 325.
Would have been like a Honda product.
Yeah,
It would have been
as compared to Corolla GTS.
Woo!
Well done, sir. Well done. I thought that was. I know you kind of are into. I don't want to say those cars specifically, but things powered by that car. So I thought you had a pretty solid shot at it.
Yeah. No, that was awesome.
Yeah. So I like how it leads off like, okay, so there's really my man. Also, best handling car in the world.
And they were fantastic. And I love these cars. The SR20 engine is a peach, man. I mean,
Yeah,
140
great
horsepower for a 2-liter is like, and it didn't mention displacement, but it's 2-liter
it does not
SR20
mention
DE
displacement.
engine.
Mhm.
The thing redlines at 7,700 RPM. That just makes it fun.
Yeah, they put them in light cars, and they were just playful, absolute bulletproof. Like those engines are ones where like you can just kick the hell out of it, and it doesn't feel like it's strained. It just like rolls with the punches.
Super free revving, timing chain without timing chain issues that were like commonplace
Like
back then.
everything.
Yeah.
Other Nissan Infiniti products like
Some of the
345.
comparisons in that. Except the 325 I had a belt, 190 had a chain.
I think 190 was in both, right?
The
In the
16D had a chain.
Yeah,
Like
but I think all of them. Well, because you can get the 2.6 at the end of the run, you can get the 6-cylinder.
True.
I think that was also a chain of fools. Well done, sir.
Thank you, man.
I think that's our first
Slam dunk.
Yeah, that's our first like alley-oop off the backboard first guest getter, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought you had one once though.
Did I? I don't know. They're all bleeding together at
Yeah.
this point.
Cool.
I know.
That was quick.
Well, hey, you know what? We've got a couple of extra minutes then, because we normally budget in a couple of extra minutes. So before we get to PCP, we played a little bit of a game. Last episode.
That's right.
Where we were talking about the Daytona that was on Cars and Bids.
That's correct.
And we were guessing prices.
Oh,
and I know that this is an ever evolving thing because I know you're still working it out with the buyer, and that's a whole other episode for another day.
Hopefully we're not working out price though.
Yeah, no, this is that. Yeah, that ship has sailed. We'll put a conclusion. We'll put a bow on that later when hopefully he comes and just hands you a grip of cash. But
Better.
when it came to the guessing game, how did you do? What was that? What is that grip of cash? Oh, that's going to be here hopefully soon. What is that going to look like?
Sometimes it's good to lose, my friend.
It is. I lost.
Yeah,
And
you lost less than me though. Which
Yeah.
makes me the bigger winner.
It is. Yeah, it's very complicated.
So what did we say? I said 78. You were 8801.
8801, correct.
And we were at 7 with 20 hours to go.
Yeah.
Something in that ballpark.
Yeah, 23, 24, 25.
So a little bit of a bidding fury. Someone came and slammed dunked their schlong on the bidding table.
Yeah, like right when we wrapped.
Right when we wrapped.
Somebody just
Threw 10K.
They just dropped 10 on it. Yeah.
Boom.
They were
Mic
willing
drop.
and able to put their dick on the table. And they did.
It didn't stand that long though, because then it got into a little bidding fiasco.
Yeah.
Where everybody was kind of nickel and diming each other. Final. You want to announce the final, or should I?
It's your car, it's your victory.
Well, it settled at 10-7.
Yeah.
Which
Not bad.
blew us out of the
Not
water.
bad.
Or I said, no, not a bad and well bought.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want one of these, it's well bought. Like,
I mean,
you
comp
what are you gonna do?
wise, yeah. What are you gonna?
It is a comp. I mean, it's funny because it's like
Setting the
that
market.
car. Yeah, you literally set the market with that car at 10.7. I think if you want one of those, it's absolutely well bought. I think it could be worth more.
Yeah,
I think.
I agree.
But I think it performed well, and that is the market. That's like the car. Like
It's where it's
you
at.
go to any auction site, that's the highest one that you're going to find. And
I
it's
don't-
the only.
condition-wise, there might not be a pier to that car. Like that interior.
Yeah, there might be some. There is probably one somewhere. It probably hasn't seen the light of day in a decade.
Maybe.
And it's probably going to need a couple $1,000s to get it polished back up and bring it back to what it is. But when and if that day ever comes where that thing sees the light of day, who knows? Maybe never.
Is it as desirable a color combination? Is it, because that one option, it's a Shelby Z. There's a lot of
Two-tops, leather, yeah.
But that interior looks exactly like it did when it drove out of the dealership in 1988.
I think the only that I can think of, the only additional option was the digital dash. I think was an option on that.
I don't know if the Shelby Zs had the option. I think it was on the lower models.
Oh,
it's kind of like the NX 2000. The NX 1600 had the digital dash.
Yeah, but if you get the 2000s, it's like, you're only about performance. You need these sporty analog gauges.
Yeah, I think so. Shelby Z was already top of the line, and then this was the most optioned I think you could get. I think they also
maybe you get like a graphic equalizer or something like that for the.
It had that. It had everything. The stereo was loaded, but it didn't have. I think they had. I might be mixing up cars here. Yeah, I'm thinking of digital climate control. It might not have that. That might not have been an option. That might have been a lesser or a later model.
Sure.
But yeah, like just interior quality, out of control.
Yeah, that thing was cool.
And T-tops.
Well, you did well, my friend.
Thanks, man. Yeah, the buyer's definitely going to be in a good spot when he sees the car. Because I think when I looked at pictures of the car, I was like, oh, this looks fantastic. And then I sat and drove the car and saw the actual quality of the interior. Because pictures can do a lot, right? Until you actually start looking around. But just unbelievable. Everything functions. The power seat controls are just out of this world. Yeah.
So what are you going to do with your newfound windfall? Are you going to immediately go out and purchase something else? Are you going to use it to keep the lights on around here?
Scans around the large car fleet. No, it's already spoken for. So it's obviously, we got a couple more projects to move out. It'll go into parts for the next few cars coming through. So I'm not really looking to replace. I'm trying to really take down the fleet. So.
Yeah, I mean, you were not like wanting of a car when you bought that thing to begin with. It was just too good of a car, too good of a price.
Too good to pass, and I was either going to squirrel that one away because what a great car to take to Cars and Coffee, and just for the value. And they're probably in 5 to 10 years, that thing's going to fetch a lot more cash.
It could,
because it could. So I think so.
It just I don't know. It's one of those ones. It could go in either direction.
Yeah, I just think that.
I mean, it's not going to go down. The price is not going to go down.
Never.
Like if you want one, okay, is it going to be? It's going to be worth 50? I don't think so.
But that was Mopar in the 80s, so you know how Mopar fans are. If you were a Mopar guy, you wanted a Shadow, maybe a Charger at that time. It's the top of the line.
Spirit RT.
Well, I love those too.
Yeah. Custom Sundance. Well, good. Well done.
Yeah, good
I was
all
wearing
around.
a hat, I would tip it to you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Super happy how that one turned out, and I think it's all around great purchase, well bought. I think it's going to be very well enjoyed.
Well, speaking of things I enjoy, PCP. I know we know what our PCP is, which is Project Car Progress. What's like the actual PCP stand for?
It's a scientific.
I know it's like phlenal, flummy.
I would agree with that.
Swanson.
I want to talk to Samson.
Samson would know probably, but no, What have you been doing as far as PCP?
So I
know you've been kind of like been saddled with various wrenching injuries.
Yeah, still got a pinched nerve. My right arm's at like 50% capacity of what it can do. But anyway, we make do. So obviously, cleaning up the car after the auction was done, just making sure it's going to be in good shape for the new owner.
Yep.
Doing continued body work on the Tracer, which is just. I don't want to get into it too much. Like I'm trying to like ease into body work, and I've done some pretty on a cheaper car. I don't mind attacking the body work,
right?
Because it's all about the cost. Like where's your price point and everything like that. So unfortunately, I purchased some aftermarket factory match spray paint that did not match. So all that work into it, and it's fine. It's still better than burnt paint, and I'm still gonna wet sand it and make it look nice. But it is what it is. It does look better, like I said, than exposed metal and peeled back.
Yeah, because it was really. There's like surface rust above the windshield.
Yeah, and that'll all be doctored up and cleaned up, and it doesn't take away from the car. Like honestly, someone if they really like it, will get a full paint job.
Yeah, it'll just make it presentable for the foreseeable.
Yeah, and it's an awesome car. I'm like super pumped. I can't wait to review it.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
And you said the prior owner put these tires on, right?
Yep, everything's good. Like tires, a new timing belt. I didn't have to do the timing belt in an old car for once.
What? Unbelievable.
I don't even know what to do. What's cool is you see There's a parking sticker up there from Monterey. So the owner was going to college in Monterey, they lived in Grass Valley, and that's where all the mileage came. That's where all the mileage. They go home on the weekends.
So they work there, or were they a student?
That's where they went to school.
Okay.
So it stayed in the same family.
I got a good friend of mine who's a what are they? The fighting Celts? Like what's their?
I can't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Should have otter in there.
It should be.
Yeah,
fighting
otters.
Cute adorable. Exactly.
You otter now. No, but like so.
You otter now.
Oh,
sorry.
We almost made it through.
Yeah.
So it's without Frank singing.
Yeah.
We love it. Yeah, that's a lot of mileage. It has 260K on it, but to tell you the truth, this is one of the healthiest. And if you're not in the no zone, this has a 1.8 liter Mazda engine.
That's right.
And 5-speed trans. So the community actually loves these things, and it drives well. I gotta take it for a spin.
We'll go. We gotta go.
Like the review will be popular. The build series has been pretty popular because you just don't see them.
Yeah.
Super rare car. But yeah, that's all I got for PCP, man.
There you go. Mine is kind of backwards progress.
Oh.
And by that I mean, like, I'm kind of buying another car. So
what, you guys, if you're watching the video, you can see how surprised I look.
So it's exactly the same, except completely opposite of how you ended up buying your Daytona, where it was just like, where yours was like incredibly good car at a very, very good price.
Right.
Mine is a not great car, but at a very, very good price.
Yes.
So 2006, it's an E90. It's a BMW 325 sedan.
Okay.
98,000 miles. It's not without its faults. It has, basically the story on it is, one of my photography clients, they have one of their clients who brought them this car and was like, hey, this was like, I don't know what it was. I think it was like the ex-girlfriend's car or something. And she wasn't nice to the car, and I got saddled with it. I need to get rid of it. I drove down to LA to go get it, bring it back up here, and the tires were wasted on it, so he put brand new Michelins on it and then drove it up.
Cool.
So the tires have 420 miles on it, or whatever the mileage was from, literally he picked it up and then brought it up here, and that was the end of it. He said, yeah, it drove really great, but it's got a little bit of an oil leak, and you know, the hood on the paint is gone. Like it was repainted once upon a time, and it looks like trash. And one of the rear window regulators has failed on it, so the window is held up with some like folded up paper stuff between the.
So we know it's a real BMW.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's got like a little oil leak, and the driver's door lock like works intermittently. But you know, brand new Michelin's on it.
Yeah.
Clean title. Runs and drives well. He smogged it. Smog's done on it.
That's the best part.
$1,500.
Jeez.
And I'm like, okay, I know a place I can get like a pseudo fly-by-night place. I can get the hood painted for probably $200.
Wow.
Done. Color matched. Not blend the fender, so it won't be perfect, but it'll be good enough.
Yeah.
And you know, I will gladly let the next guy know, like, hey, the paint was gone. I painted it.
I mean, better than burnt off paint, right?
Yeah. The interior's pretty clean. Window regulators are cheap and easy to do. Like it's like $20 for a part on Rock Auto, and an hour later, it's not that big a deal. I can knock that out. Door, I may or may not fix. It's got a couple of oil leaks. One is the valve cover. One is the oil filter adapter where it meets the head, which is very common on those.
Always. Yeah.
But that one's easy. I may or may not do the valve cover once I'll clean the whole engine bay and see how bad it is. But it's got brand new tires on it. The tires alone were probably $750 for a set of 4 Michelin.
Oh, you bet.
And an alignment.
Yeah. 17-inch, 16-inch wheels?
They're
17.
I don't remember. I think they're 17s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be a good car. It's gray over black. The leather's in really good shape because it's got under 100,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
So comps, you know, in similar condition, maybe without the paint issue on the hood, but without brand new tires, are going for like 5. With like 180,000.
And they have leaks too. Let's be honest.
It's a German car. It's got leaks, so it's gonna leak. So if I can mitigate some of the leaks, fix the window, fix the paint on the hood, and just turn it around immediately for $4,500, $5,000. Cool. Maybe I'll do that. So I got it on a whim. I'm picking it up tomorrow.
Cool.
I want to say I can't lose on it because there's no wood around here for me to knock on. Yeah. But it should be, unless it literally just windows the block the moment I drive off on it, I should be all right.
Yeah.
So That's it. I do not want to hang on to this car it's going to be the hot potato.
Are you gonna paint the BMW colors on the grill?
Oh, I should. Yeah, I should just like ruin the grill by just like putting M.
Gonna have
on
an
an automatic.
next time we come up, hang
Exactly. Yeah, I'll just like show up to Cars and Coffee like, hey, bro. Hey man, I just start speaking in like really poor German. Like, really, what's that guy just saying to me? So yeah, so that's my update. Is I'm adding something. I really want to have it no more than like 3 weeks. If I can get it, do what I got to do, get the title, and then just move it on down the road.
Yes.
Before the smog that was done in the middle of December expires.
Ooh, tick 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 tock.
Yeah, don't tick too loud. I don't want any ticking.
Yeah, was that valve or?
Yeah.
Could be lifter.
So it's an N52 motor. They do that. So yeah, that's
cool, man.
That's what I'm up to.
I mean, what other option do we have? Not buying more cars?
I know. Please push off.
Get out of here.
So I think that's all we got for today.
Stick a fork in it.
Boink. Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
That was the sound of the thing. You know, like when you buy like the store-bought frozen turkey, and it's got that little like thing that like
pops up.
The nipple that hardens and shoots out of the rest of the turkey.
I can't picture turkey when you say nipple that hardens. But...
Yeah, well, you should. Okay.
Does it make an audible noise? I feel like you added that.
No, I think it goes boink.
Does it?
That's what it does. Yeah.
Jeez.
Well,
comment below.
Yes.
If you know. React.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for hanging out, y'all. And, catch us on the next one because there will be another one.
Yeah. Thanks for dealing with this. Take care, guys.
Bye.